Here at the Kennel in Gonzaga, Robert Sacre and his Gonzaga Bulldogs with the healthy lead, 57-42 against Notre Dame. Sacre, the senior leader of this Gonzaga team. Sean, would you say in college hoops this year an unusual, perhaps, number of standout seniors across the country?
I think there is, and I think you look at this list here, just some of the best seniors across the country. To Holloway and what he has meant for Xavier. We saw the great matchup, Taylor and Zeller, in the same contest tonight for North Carolina, and Chris Joseph just one of many players on that Syracuse roster, which makes them a dangerous team, even amid all the confusion and uncertainty going on the outside of that program right now.
A lot of kids who had a chance perhaps to turn pro came back to play another year of college basketball. The game is going to benefit from it. Elbow jumpers. Sacre controls the defensive rebound.
Part of that has to do with the lockout and players, uncertain of how long it was going to last.
Stockton, what a move by David Stockton.
He is crafty, and if you're not sitting in a stance, he's going to go right by you. And a little hesitation dribble makes you go in one direction, frees him up in the opposite direction. And David Stockton has performed extremely well here in the second half.
He's got 10 points overall, 8 of their last 10.
And Branson's got to get down and sit in the stance. And he's standing too straight up. One little hesitation move shouldn't cause that much of a reaction. And no help side defensive rotation. The backline guys too slow getting over.
I think parts of that game would remind you of one of the all-time greats, John Stockton, who starred here at Gonzaga and then went on to a Hall of Fame brilliant career with the Utah Jazz and the NBA. The ability to pass, the ability to score, do it all. One of the best point guards that this sport has ever seen. And his son has got a long way to go to match dad, but that's not saying anything negative about David, because he's turned into a real nice player for the Bulldogs.
No, and he's got a great feel for the game. Matt Bolton told me a year ago that he was a guy that you could just see you hated to go against in practice on a daily basis, because he always made the smart play, and he continues to do that for this Gonzaga Bulldog team.
Here's Jerry Bell Jr. Creates for Sacre, who passed up the jumper. Bulldogs trying to match their biggest lead, and perhaps they'll do it at the free throw line.
Good patience, a couple ball reversals in the half-court set, and a little pick and roll. And Robert does as good as a job as any big in the country of slipping screens. I mean, a lot of times he comes up and you're anticipating the screen, and he'll just step and roll right to the hoop.
First free throw is good.
And Mark Few has nothing but rave reviews on Robert Sacre. I mean, he is the emotional leader. He is the vocal leader. He is the work rate leader on this team. I mean, he does everything right at practice. He told us he's never had a bad day of practice so far this season. That he comes and plays the game and celebrates the game of basketball every day. And that infectious attitude has spread to a lot of these younger players and helped them come along this year.
Sacre gets the 2 from the free throw line. Connaughton reverse. Nice move by the Notre Dame freshman. Mark Few, 13 years here with the Bulldogs. He's had so many great teams, Sean. 11 consecutive regular season WCC titles. How do you think this year's Gonzaga team stacks up?
I think that this is a team that potentially could be Mark Few's best team. Because of their size, their depth in the front court, and yes, they're a little youthful on the outside, but that'll continue to improve because they've got a load of talent on the perimeter. You look at the WCC conference in particular this year, BYU, St. Mary's, Santa Clara. Kerry Keating's done a great job. Evan Rockamore has really come along nicely to go along with Kevin Foster to have probably the best tandem perimeter players in the West Coast Conference this season.
Stockton. Sacre gets another touch. Had it poked away out of bounds. Well, Mark Few, take away evaluating the talent, take away evaluating what the ultimate wins and losses will be. He thinks his team stacks up favorably in a couple of other areas.
Well, he mentioned chemistry and work rate. He said this is the best he's ever had. It's as good as any team that has ever been on the floor for Gonzaga in those two categories, as far as chemistry and how hard they work on a daily basis. And that's saying a lot. And Coach was quick to point out, he goes, look, I've had a lot of great teams that have had great chemistry and that have worked hard for me on a daily basis. But again, following their leader, Robert Sacre, this team has gelled in a very short period of time for Coach Mark Few. And potential is a dangerous word. But this team, again, potentially because of Bell and Pangos, if they can blossom and grow to a consistent presence on the outside, it adds more depth and danger to what Gonzaga can do.
11 straight WCC regular season titles, and you saw the graphic, Mark Few, 12 full years as the Gonzaga coach, 8 times the WCC Coach of the Year.
That's all part of the culture here at the Kennel. It's believing in every year, in every game you have on this floor, that you're going to have a result similar to what we're seeing right now.
And meanwhile, on the other side, Sean, Mike Bray, who was the Big East Coach of the Year last year, National Coach of the Year by some accounts. He's got a different challenge with this particular Fighting Irish team, and particularly with no Tim Abromaitis.
Well, it's a younger team than he's accustomed to, and he's really built Notre Dame up by having experienced players. And we spoke about that today at shoot-around. And just for his teams to be successful, he feels like he needs to have those upperclassmen and those great leaders. And without Abromaitis, this team took a huge hit in that category.
Stockton had it picked clean by Atkins, who's going to take it all the way. And Eric Atkins will be a big part of this Fighting Irish team.
Well, Atkins and Grant have to elevate their game, and Martin cannot afford to go on the road and struggle as much as he has from the outside. He's 0 for 6 from the field.
Elias Harris, who's got a double-double going. Sacre to a cutting David Stockton. What a move. Dragovich in transition. Notre Dame has to reset. Another rebound for Elias Harris. He's got 14 rebounds in this game to go along with his 11 points.
And rebounds are a big number for him. Last year those numbers were down. He hovered around 5 rebounds per contest. Now the numbers back up above 7. And then, of course, that's going to be added to tonight with his effort.
Part of that health, getting healthier, the explosiveness back for Elias Harris. Shot clock to 10, under 4 minutes to go. Harris went up for an offensive rebound, couldn't get it. 16-point lead. Brooks makes it 14.
They've had some success in the open floor, not allowing Gonzaga to set up their defense and put pressure on them. But in order to get out and have those runouts, you need to create turnovers, or you need to rebound the ball and shore up your glass. And they've given up 12 offensive rebounds in this game.
Stockton this time dishes off. Sacre. There's Brooks again. Cooley offensive rebound with 1 dribble. Harris, rebound number 15.
And now the Bulldogs can slow it down and run their offense. Dragovich, another player Notre Dame's going to need to assert himself offensively. He can shoot it from the outside. He hasn't had a lot of clean looks in this one.
Now lost on defense. Pangos for 3. Having fun tonight in Spokane. The Kennel has just been nuts. And the Bulldogs about to get a big win against a Big East team that prides itself on passing offensive execution. But, Sean, we've seen that more for the Bulldogs here tonight.
He has been a great job passing. Watch Atkins lose vision of Stockton. Stockton makes the great basketball cut. Sacre finds him. Sacre then benefits from Stockton's unselfish play, passing it to the outside, showing a little bit of his range. And Pangos comes down and nails the 3, and that's what the Zags can do to you in a hurry.
More great college hoops this week. On Friday night, the HTC Big East SEC Challenge and a doubleheader with 4 ranked teams: Florida, Syracuse, 7 Eastern, and then at 9 Eastern, Vanderbilt and Louisville. Friday night on ESPN.
Balance is so key to a team's success, and the Zags have done an excellent job finding balance. They have 4 guys in double figures in this contest. Sacre with 15. Elias Harris down low with the double-double. He's got 11 to go along with his 15 boards. And Pangos now with 12 after that last made three-pointer. And David Stockton in the second half has really got his offense going. He's 4 or 5 shooting from the floor. And that kind of output forces teams, you try to say, okay, pick your poison. Are you going to take away the interior? Fine, we're going to take the outside. You take away the outside, we're going to hurt you down low. And that versatility and balance across the board as far as interior presence and perimeter players makes them a difficult matchup.
A good point, Sean. In their win against Washington State here, second game of the year, Pangos had the huge night, 33 points. But this has been a better overall team performance than that one for the Bulldogs.
And meanwhile, Notre Dame shooting below 37% from the floor.
Stockton, great pass, but Spangler didn't finish on the break. That's unusual for the Fighting Irish. They're a good shooting team normally. A little too late for Atkins, who's been quiet for most of the game.
Now just 2 of 9 from the floor for Atkins.
A sophomore who's played a lot of big minutes, so he's young by class year, but last year got so much experience in the Big East.
Well, Atkins came into one of the biggest games for Notre Dame last year. Their win at UConn when Ben Hansborough went out and fouled out of the game with about 8 minutes left to go. And it was Atkins who helped pace Notre Dame to that victory.
Spangler chases down the loose ball.
This is one of those games that you'll look back on for Notre Dame, and they'll be a much improved team by the time they get to the Big East.
Offensive rebound. Spangler is fouled. Final 105 from Spokane. Big lead for the Zags. Well, lots of quality wins for West Coast Conference teams in the early part of the season. Going to be another one for the Zags here tonight against Notre Dame at home. And Sean, it should be an extremely spirited year in the WCC.
Well, you look at the 3 projected teams at the top of this conference in Gonzaga, BYU, St. Mary's. Those 3 teams in the WCC are the 3 of only 8 Division I teams to average over 25 wins over the last 4 seasons. Of course, BYU new to the conference, but LMU another team to watch. The month of November has been great overall for the WCC. The wins over Washington State, Arizona State, UCLA, LMU, Villanova, St. Louis, New Mexico, and we're 1 minute and 5 seconds away from adding Notre Dame to that list as well.
And not all just Gonzaga knocking off those teams.
Well, and a lot of people say, well, Arizona State is off to a slow start. Yeah, but it was Pepperdine and Marty Wilson in his first season without his best player, a team that doesn't figure to be in the title championship mix, still knocking off on the road a Pac-12 school.
Final minute from Spokane. That is Merninghoff. Hasn't played big minutes tonight for the Bulldogs, but a good outside shooter. Tip ball, and Stockton with the shot clock down to 2 knows he's got to chuck one up, and he banks it in.
Good night, everybody. David Stockton off the glass. Everything's gone the way of Gonzaga tonight. Notre Dame could never find themselves in a rhythm at the offensive end. They turned it over far too much to be successful. And David Stockton has electrified the home crowd in the second half.
Students waited days camping out for the Irish to land in Spokane, and they got what they were looking for.